Hello and welcome to Ecoholics. A very good evening to all of you. Here we discuss about the water crisis in India. Although this year India has received significant amount of rainfall as well as the good monsoon, but still there were areas where we actually struggled with having the equal amount of rain all over the country. So somewhere we have experienced the flood like situation, and other places we experience the dry areas. Now the main motive of this lecture or discussing this topic of water crisis, this is obviously important for UPSC examination, and this will more important in the mains examination. That will give you certain insights about the water, which is very important resources. In this lecture we will discuss about the effective and efficient utilization of water, especially for agriculture sector. And this is effective and efficient utilization will give certain kind of insurance against the water scarcity. And we'll see certain amount of data in order to understand or in order to compare the data with the past. So here this water scarcity, obviously this efficient and effective utilization of water for agriculture will act as a insurance against the water scarcity that will provide the food security, because in order to grow food, agriculture is important, and for agriculture water is important. So again, there is a linkage. So let's begin and let's come on to the topic. Now India is facing, as I said earlier, a water crisis. So if India is facing a water crisis, it means there is a problem. Now the problem is what? Simple. The problem is of mismatch between demand and the supply. So mismatch between the demand and supply, especially in the many parts of the country, and that has been growing rapidly. If you see the water resources in India, water resources that are depleting, by the year 2030 India can meet only 50% of current water demand if we go with this simple or with the same pace. So if you see that depleting groundwater resources, if we go at the same pace which we are actually observing in 2019-20, by the year 2030 India demand in the country, suppose the total demand is 100% of the water. If you see the total demand, among that 80 to 85% is actually required for agriculture production. So you can understand, if you have 100 liters of water, around 80 to 85 liters you have to use in agriculture, and the remaining, that is around 15 to 20%, we have for households and industries that are using. Now household and industry need more to meet the objectives of the piped water. So that is that actually come via pipe directly to your tap. Now we need piped water supply. Now the motive of the government under the scheme called Har Ghar Nal, that is providing the every household with a tapped water. The target is to reach this target by 2024. So in the next 5 years government is targeting that in every household they will provide a tapped water. Obviously this scheme is good, obviously very good, but there's a Herculean task. It means very difficult task for the government to provide this Har Ghar Nal. No, because the main task is not the providing tapped water, is providing tapped water on the one hand, and on the other we need to provide food security. Why food security? Because India is experiencing the growing population. If your population going up, it means The demand for water is also going up, and demand for food is also going up. In order to increase the demand, or in order to produce more food, we need more water. And from where we will actually extract that particular water? That is the point of concern here. Now here there is no possibility that we can actually divert water from agriculture to other sector. So there is a least priority that we can do this. It means, because if you are compromising water availability to agriculture, it means it will have certain impact on food security of India. Now agriculture undoubtedly requires a lot of water, and if you see the global best practices, globally also agriculture uses 70% of total water availability. It means remaining 30% globally, that is available for industry as well as the household. If you see the report of Niti Aayog, a former ISRO chairman, because ISRO is actually taking initiatives about mapping the location of the groundwater. Now, ISRO chairman suggested that water requirement in agriculture can be brought down to 50% from the existing 80 to 85% in India. Now, but the main problem behind this is it is difficult to achieve. We can say there is large amount of scope that we can increase the farm water efficiency. So if we promote the farm water efficiency, then only we can able to achieve the 50% water diverted towards agriculture and 50% for the other, that is industry and the households. Now here this is very difficult if you see the current trend, but this can be possible by the certain initiatives. Now, as I said earlier, water crisis in agriculture. So water crisis in agriculture actually emerged due to the overuse of groundwater. So every time the people are extracting the groundwater, and the another reason of water crisis is the flood irrigation. So you must have seen that flood irrigation is like this is a total farm, and in order to grow the crop we just fill this particular farm with full of water. That is what we call the flood irrigation. There are two problems: evaporation of water led to salinity of soils, as well as overuse of the water. Now these kind of method actually exploited the groundwater in India. If you see, that emerged alongside, started in the year 1966 as the Green Revolution, but since then it has been deteriorating. Now if you see that the government initiative, the Ground Water Board Central Ground Water Board has actually made a block wise assessment. So every block they are making certain kind of assessment on the groundwater availability, and they have treated with certain scales like the tag of safe. They have categorized under critical and over exploited. So if you see the groundwater level of Punjab, that is come under the category of over exploited. So you can understand that these three categories are actually made by Central Groundwater Board. Now in the year 2005, this actually government prepared a model bill. Model bill means it is a bill like a template, and the state government can enact their own laws on the basis of this model law. Now the government enacted or prepared the model bill that would be enacted by, or expected to enacted by, the states as well as the union territories in India to regulate to regulate or control the development of or the management of the groundwater. But this bill seeks to make the unregulated groundwater extraction a punishable offense. So if you actually extract the water that is unregulated, that must be a punishable offense. But if you see, since 2005, it means almost 14 years we are now, only 11 states and 4 union territories have enacted this model law. Now you'll ask me, what is the solution? So the solution for this groundwater recharge is artificial recharge of the water. Now artificial recharge of the groundwater, certain we can say the rejuvenation of rivers, the lakes and the springs, the water springs generally you find in the mountains. Here that is in the terms of the mission mode project. This is the typical solution that we have. In the year 2013, Central Groundwater Board prepared a master plan in order to recharge the groundwater throughout the country and to create 11 million artificial recharge structures over a decade. It means by the year 2023, and they have allocated the amount around 79,000 crores at obviously 2011 prices. So here this amount has been dedicated to actually recharge the groundwater artificially. Now if you see, along with this, water conservation and water harvesting plays an important role. So we can use the labor from Manrega and we can build assets by using the labor from Manrega. Now if you see the last and the latest, the scheme that government introduced is known as the JAL Shakti Abhiyan. Although government has brought up with a Ministry of JAL Shakti, and here JAL Shakti Abhiyan obviously propagate the water conservation. So this is the latest effort from the government side that we have. Now some of the best measures what I am mentioning here, we have the best example. That example is of Sikkim. Now what Sikkim did, Sikkim is a small state and they have done pretty well in terms of the water management, and they have adopted the model which is known as the Rural Management Development Department of Sikkim, and with this model they have able to revive the dried springs and lakes. Especially if you see, this is the map of Sikkim, and if you see that in this particular area, so south and the little bit of west district of Sikkim, they have actually able to revive the dried springs as well as the lakes. This program initiated in the year 2008, and in this program other departments and the NGOs were actually helping Sikkim. One of the better known NGO is WWF, that is World Wildlife Fund, and in the 4 years, it means by the year 2012, in the Sikkim was able to recharge 5 lakes, 50 springs and over 900 million liters of groundwater. 900 million liters of groundwater, that is per year. Now if you see that this is feasible, but we need certain things. What are the things important here? The scientific planning. Scientific planning is required first of all. The second thing, that they have used the facility of geohydrology, especially in selection of the sites that where we can actually revive these lakes as well. Now for other things that we have, the good amount of power, especially we can say the human power, the manpower we can say. Apart from this, the involvement of the most important stakeholder, that is the community. So community is important. On the same lines, if you see successful rejuvenation that we have seen in the district of Uttar Pradesh, that district is known as the Fatehpur district, where the successfully rejuvenation of Sasur Khanderi River that took place in the similar manner based on this Sikkim model. So these are the examples from within our country. I'm not giving you the examples from all over the world or examples of the developed countries. But here we have the example of Sikkim, smallest state, and the UP, the largest state. So you have certain examples, you have role models, you have a planning model, the implementation process, etc. What we need is just the execution right now. Now, obviously, that the governance framework played an important role in water conservation, water security, etc. And it is a multidisciplinary approach and based on the we can say the coordinations of the various departments. First of all, we can say the willpower plays an important role. Now here the question is that how we can increase the farm water productivity. Now what is bed cropping pattern or flood irrigation? Like for example, in Maharashtra, there's one region called Marathwada. In the region of Marathwada, which is popularly known as the water scarce region, the people or the farmer were actually producing sugar cane and with the help of the flood irrigation that caused lot of we can say drought, and that's why succeeded by the farmer suicides as well. Now government has made it mandatory for the sugarcane farmers that if you are growing sugarcane you have to use the drip irrigation, but still we need to wait for the time where we can shift this farm practices which is required. Another thing we can say that the flood method irrigation causes around 50% of the wastage of the water. So 50% of the water under flood irrigation actually goes to without any use. And that's why we are promoting the drip irrigation and the sprinkler irrigation. Mainly drip irrigation is best. Drip irrigation is just, it actually, there's a pipeline and where we have certain outlets directly into the roots of that particular crop. So this is how we can achieve the water efficiency. Now improving the water efficiency, there are scientific tools as well, but for the drip irrigation the Indian farming market is quite less and it requires a lot of investment. So that's why we are not able to actually uh, get the financer for this type of activity, as well as for the farmers perspective their availability and the affordability is quite low. So a comprehensive area wise, crop wise efficiency audit is required and we need to understand that where is the demand of these kind of products. So these are the important things and the how India can achieve water efficient practices. Obviously there is a problem of knowledge gap as well. Problem as well. The knowledge gap actually arises among the farmers, then farmers bodies, then the knowledge gap between national and state governments, national and state governments, like the knowledge gap between the agriculture research institutes like Krishi Vigyan Kendras. So that is the main problem. There is always a gap exist in their coordination as well as the knowledge. So effective and efficient utilization of water for agriculture is important in order to provide an insurance against water scarcity at last for the food security, because India is experiencing high amount of population and this high amount of population actually creating problem for the country. So obviously this is the end of the lecture. If you have any doubt you can ask. So tomorrow we'll meet again at 10:30 p.m. That is the program starting from Monday to Saturday, every day at 10:30 p.m. regarding the current economic discussion and analysis. So if you have any query, any doubt regarding these current affairs that is important for UPSC examination, you can always ask, most welcome. So till then, thank you so much, and do follow us on social media. That is the all the handles are given, especially the Instagram where we provide daily questions. So till then, thank you so much. Good night.